Good evening. This is All India Radio. I'm Naresh Mago and with me is Prashant Kumar Sinha with the evening news. Headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says India is moving ahead with Swami Vivekananda's vision of empowering the poor. India is not only running world's biggest COVID vaccine program, but also the fastest in vaccinating its citizens, says the Prime Minister in his Mann Ki Baat program. Prime Minister asserts that government is committed to modernizing agriculture and is taking many steps in this direction. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman to present Union Budget for 2021-22 tomorrow in the Lok Sabha. And around 89 lakh children administered polio drops on Polio National Immunization Day today. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these three simple steps. Wear a face mask. Maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing. Focus on hand and face hygiene. Now the news. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that Swami Vivekananda saw India as a cultural consciousness that has been living and breathing for centuries. He said Swamiji wanted to create an awakened India beyond just a political or territorial entity. The Prime Minister today virtually addressed the 125th anniversary celebrations of Prabuddha Bharat, a monthly journal of the Ramakrishna Order started by Swami Vivekananda. He said Swami Vivekananda named the journal Prabuddha Bharat to manifest the spirit of our nation.
Prabuddha Bharat, there is a very powerful thought behind this name. Swami Vivekananda named the journal Prabuddha Bharat to manifest the spirit of our nation. He wanted to create an awakened India. Those who understand Bharat are aware that it is beyond just a political or territorial entity. Swami Vivekananda expressed this very boldly and proudly. He saw India as a cultural consciousness that had been living and breathing for centuries.
Referring to Swami Vivekananda's letter to the Maharaja of Mysore and to Swami Ramakrishnanand, the Prime Minister stressed on two clear thoughts in Swamiji's approach to empowering the poor. First, he wanted empowerment to be taken to the poor if the poor themselves cannot easily go to empowerment. Second, Swamiji said India's poor have to be given ideas, their eyes are to be opened to what is going on in the world around them, and then they will work out their own salvation. Mr. Modi asserted that this is the approach with which India is moving ahead today. He said banks must reach the poor, and that is what the Jan Dhan Yojana did. So did Jan Suraksha and Ayushman Bharat schemes.
Swami Vivekananda had great compassion for the poor. He truly believed that poverty was at the root of every problem. Therefore, poverty had to be removed from the nation. This is the approach with which India is moving ahead today. Roads, education, electricity and internet connectivity are being taken to every corner of the country, especially to the poor. This is igniting aspirations among the poor, and it is these aspirations that are driving the growth of the country.
The Prime Minister said India's proactive stance during the COVID-19 pandemic is an example of Swamiji's approach of not feeling helpless in a crisis. Similarly, instead of complaining about the problem of climate change, India went for a solution in the form of the International Solar Alliance. He said this is the Prabuddha Bharat or Swami Vivekananda's vision being built, and this is the India which is giving solutions to the world's problems. Mr. Modi expressed happiness that Swami Vivekananda's big dreams for India and his immense faith in India's youth is reflected in India's business leaders, sportspersons, technocrats, professionals, scientists, innovators, and so many others. Mr. Modi said, Prabuddha Bharat has run for 125 years, spreading Swamiji's ideas, and they've built upon his vision of educating the youth and awakening the nation. It has contributed significantly towards making Swami Vivekananda's thoughts immortal.
It is a matter of joy that we are celebrating the 125th anniversary of Prabuddha Bharat. This is no ordinary journal. It was started by none other than Swami Vivekananda back in 1896. That too at the young age of 33. It is among the longest running English journals of the country.
The event was organized by Advaita Ashram, situated at Mayavati, Uttarakhand.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that India's fight against coronavirus and its vaccination program has turned out to be exemplary for the world. In his monthly radio program, Mann Ki Baat on All India Radio today, the Prime Minister said India is undertaking the biggest COVID vaccination program as well as vaccinating citizens faster than anywhere else in the world.
आज भारत दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा कोविड वैक्सीन प्रोग्राम चला रहा है। हम सबसे बड़े वैक्सीन प्रोग्राम के साथ ही दुनिया में सबसे तेज गति से अपने नागरिकों का वैक्सीनेशन भी कर रहे हैं। सिर्फ 15 दिन में भारत अपने 30 लाख से ज्यादा कोरोना वॉरियर का टीकाकरण कर चुका है, जबकि अमेरिका जैसे समृद्ध देश को इसी काम में 18 दिन लगे थे और ब्रिटेन को 36 दिन। साथियों, मेड इन इंडिया वैक्सीन आज भारत की आत्मनिर्भरता का तो प्रतीक है ही, भारत के आत्मगौरव का भी प्रतीक है।
Mr. Modi said he gets messages praising India from presidents and prime ministers of different countries of the world. He recalled the recent tweet of the Brazilian president thanking India. Mr. Modi said that the world will benefit in the field of medicines and vaccines from a self-reliant India.
इस वैक्सीनेशन कार्यक्रम में आपने एक और बात पर अवश्य ध्यान दिया होगा। संकट के समय में भारत दुनिया की सेवा इसलिए कर पा रहा है क्योंकि भारत आज दवाओं और वैक्सीन को लेकर सक्षम है, आत्मनिर्भर है। यही सोच आत्मनिर्भर भारत अभियान की भी है। भारत जितना सक्षम होगा उतनी ही अधिक मानवता की सेवा करेगा, उतना ही अधिक लाभ दुनिया को होगा।
The Prime Minister said the beginning of this year marks the completion of almost 1 year of India's battle against corona. He said it is a joyful time as many festivals were celebrated in different parts of the country, as also the birth anniversary of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose was celebrated as Parakram Divas and Republic Day. He said the Padma Awards were also announced and the tradition of conferring the Padma honor on unsung heroes has been maintained this year as well.
राष्ट्र ने असाधारण कार्य कर रहे लोगों को उनकी उपलब्धियां और मानवता के प्रति उनके योगदान के लिए सम्मानित किया। इस साल भी पुरस्कार पाने वालों में वे लोग शामिल हैं जिन्होंने अलग अलग क्षेत्रों में बेहतरीन काम किया है, अपने कामों से किसी का जीवन बदला है, देश को आगे बढ़ाया है।
The Prime Minister hailed the Indian cricket team for winning the Test series in Australia after initial setbacks and said the hard work of the team is inspirational. Mr. Modi said that amidst all this, the country was saddened by the insult to the tricolour on the 26th of January in Delhi.
दिल्ली में 26 जनवरी को तिरंगा का अपमान देख देश बहुत दुखी भी हुआ। हमें आने वाले समय को नई आशा और नवीनता से भरना है। हमने पिछले साल असाधारण संयम और साहस का परिचय दिया। इस साल भी हमें कड़ी मेहनत करके अपने संकल्पों को सिद्ध करना है, अपने देश को और तेज गति से आगे ले जाना है।
The Prime Minister said India is going to commence the celebration of 75 years of independence, Amrit Mahotsav. He termed it as an excellent time to explore places associated with the heroes of the freedom struggle. He appealed to all countrymen, especially young people, to write about freedom fighters and incidents associated with freedom. The Prime Minister also lauded the 4 women pilots from India who took command of a non-stop flight from San Francisco in the USA to Bangalore.
मार्च 26 जनवरी की परेड में भी जहां भारतीय वायुसेना की 2 विमेन ऑफिसर्स ने नया इतिहास रच दिया है। क्षेत्र कोई भी हो, देश की महिलाओं की भागीदारी लगातार बढ़ रही है, लेकिन अक्सर हम देखते हैं कि देश के गांवों में हो रहे इसी तरह के बदलाव की उतनी चर्चा नहीं हो पाती।
The Prime Minister mentioned an inspiring story from Madhya Pradesh. In Chichgaon, Jabalpur, after COVID, some tribal women formed a self-help group and raised capital from their savings to buy the same rice mill in which they were working earlier. The Prime Minister expressed delight that a month-long strawberry festival began in Jhansi recently. Gurleen Chawla, a law student, had played a huge role in it. The Prime Minister said experiments like the Strawberry Festival not only demonstrate the spirit of innovation, but also demonstrate the manner in which the agriculture sector is adopting new technologies. He said the government is committed to modernizing agriculture and is also taking many steps in that direction. He said the efforts of the government shall also continue in the future.
स्ट्रॉबेरी फेस्टिवल जैसे प्रयोग इनोवेशन की स्पिरिट को तो प्रदर्शित करते ही हैं, साथ ही यह भी दिखाते हैं कि हमारे देश का कृषि क्षेत्र कैसे नई टेक्नोलॉजी को अपना रहा है। खेती को आधुनिक बनाने के लिए सरकार प्रतिबद्ध है और अनेक कदम उठा भी रही है। सरकार के प्रयास आगे भी जारी रहेंगे।
Mr. Modi also spoke about a video of Sarmuddin, a painter from Naya Pingala village in West Midnapore, West Bengal. In the video, the painter was expressing happiness that his painting based on the Ramayana had sold for 2 lakh rupees. Mr. Modi highlighted an initiative related to West Bengal. Mr. Modi mentioned a post received on a Namo app from Aparna Das of Kolkata asking him to speak on the FASTag program. She says that the experience of travel has changed with FASTag. The Prime Minister has said that a lot new can be learned and done through art and colors. In his Mann Ki Baat program, the PM cited the example of Bhagyashree Sahu, a young student from Raurkela in Odisha, for her keen interest in Pattachitra painting. The Prime Minister said that despite being a student of engineering, Bhagyashree could learn and master the art in a few months, which she reflects on soft stones and even bottles. Our correspondent has filed this report.
Bhagyashree is all agog as she finds a proud mention in the Prime Minister's address today. Talking to AIR News, Bhagyashree, currently pursuing her master's degree in engineering, expressed her gratitude to the Prime Minister for having noticed her art.
Today it's a big day for me. I am extremely delighted and happy. It's a proud moment not only for me but also for my family and the Odisha as well. And thanks to him for promoting the people of small city, village like me. I also thanks to him for promoting art and culture.
Union Minister Dharmendra Pradhan also congratulated Bhagyashree for her effort to promote Pattachitra, one of the traditional painting styles of Odisha. Girish Chandra Das, AIR News, Bhubaneswar.
You are listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says India is moving ahead with Swami Vivekananda's vision of empowering the poor. India is not only running the world's biggest COVID vaccination program, but also the fastest in vaccinating its citizens, says Prime Minister in his Mann Ki Baat program. Prime Minister says that government is committed to modernizing agriculture and is taking many steps in this direction. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman to present Union Budget for 2021-22 tomorrow in the Lok Sabha, and around 89 lakh children administered polio drops on Polio National Immunization Day today. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alert.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो कुछ वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे।
All India Radio presents World News. News and views from across the globe. What happened and what is up next? The newsmakers and the highlights of the day. From 10:30 to 11 p.m. every night on 100.1 FM All India Radio.
Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will present the Union Budget for 2021-22 tomorrow at 11 a.m. in the Lok Sabha. Prime Minister Narendra Modi had on Friday expressed confidence that the budget would be seen as part of the packages announced by the Finance Minister over the past 10 months to offset the impact of COVID-induced lockdowns. The Economic Survey for 2020-21 pegged the real GDP to be at 11% in the next fiscal. This year, for the first time, the Union Budget will only be available in the digital format and can also be accessed through mobile app Union Budget, both on Android and iOS platforms. Here is more from our correspondent.
The third budget to be presented by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman is going to be the first budget after the COVID pandemic phase, which eclipsed the shining economic trajectory of the nation. The Economic Survey had proposed measures parallel to the batting skills of Pant and Pujara with judicious mixture of fiscal prudence and path-breaking reforms coupled with government spending, where on one hand, through timely and preemptive decisions, the country was able to avoid the economic gloom posed by the pandemic. On the other, the time now has come to outline the road ahead to attain pre-pandemic growth trajectory through the spirit of Economic Survey has already unveiled that the government will make some major sectoral push in health, infrastructure, manufacturing and service areas with increased public spending, but lot needs to be seen in the budget, which is none less than a vaccine for the corona-infested economy. Anand Chaturvedi, AIR News, Delhi.
In view of the budget session of Parliament, Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu held a meeting of leaders of all parties in the upper house today. The meeting was held to seek support of the political parties to ensure smooth conduct of business in the Rajya Sabha. Mr. Naidu made a fervent appeal to leaders of various parties and groups in the House to ensure effective functioning of the House. In response, the leaders assured that there will be full participation in all the debates and discussions in the House. The meeting was attended by half a dozen ministers and 25 leaders of various parties. It was decided that instead of the scheduled sitting on the 15th of February as the last of the first part of the budget session, the House will sit on the 13th before adjourning to enable the department-related parliamentary committees to examine demands of grants of various departments and ministries. Further, to leaders seeking more time for discussing the motion of thanks to the President and the general budget, the Rajya Sabha Chairman asked Parliamentary Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi and others concerned to rework the time schedule.
Tomorrow's budget bears a burden of many expectations to put India back on the path of recovery following a deep recession induced by the COVID-19 pandemic. Our Mumbai correspondent spoke to taxation experts from the Indian Merchants Chamber, Mumbai, regarding their expectations from this budget.
Mr. T.P. Oswal, member of Direct Taxation Committee of Indian Merchants Chamber, Mumbai, says that this union budget will need to have calibrated measures to accelerate the road for economic recovery.
This budget has to be accelerate the road for economic recovery and also to do ease of business in the country. The government must take some steps to promote savings and investment, which needs to be improved and instill the confidence in the people.
Mr. Vikram Nankani, chairman of Indirect Taxation Committee, Indian Merchants Chamber, Mumbai, has several expectations related to GST.
Remove all restrictions on input tax credit. This will reduce the cost of transaction. That there must be a total alignment of the laws as far as GST and foreign trade policy and the customs exemption notifications are concerned.
The list of expectations is long. However, there is a hope that Budget 2021-22 will leave no stone unturned to boost economic activity and steer the pandemic-hit economy towards higher growth path. Sweetie Jain, AR News, Mumbai.
Our Bhopal correspondent spoke to economist Amit Banerjee on his expectations from the budget tomorrow.
The economists are optimistic with regard to budget coming tomorrow. Amit Banerjee, head of the Department of Management at the Maulana Azad National Institute of Technology, Bhopal, expressed his expectations on the budget.
First, let's start with the tax. Corporate income tax. The government has already given some relief, made it simplified, so one should not have too much expectation regarding it. And it's at a fair level with the rest of the world. Regarding personal income tax, government may not exactly increase the limits as such, but with regard to exemptions, it may do something.
Other economic analysts also gave their opinion that they are hopeful, but due to the corona epidemic, the country has gone through a crisis and the government has already taken effective steps to overcome this. Pooja P. Vardhan, AIR News, Bhopal.
The chairperson of Space Kids India, Dr. Srimati Kesan, in her expectation for the budget, wants more steps to be taken towards space exploration and education. Speaking exclusively to AIR News, she said that the government should involve more private players to tap the human resource in this area. She also emphasized that a normal government school child should get access to space education.
One is for supporting the industry with funding for private players and encouraging manufacturing of components, ICs and solar panels here in India, which would curb imports and the duty over the same. This apart, also request to build a space research park like NASA and ESA so that the last child in the country has the first-hand information and learning about space at economical pricing.
Our correspondent spoke to some people on their expectations from the budget.
राजेश शर्मा, कॉन्फेडरेशन ऑफ ऑल इंडिया ट्रेडर्स, TCPDA। तो हम आशा करते हैं कि जो बजट हो रहा है उसके अंदर व्यापारियों को दृष्टि में रख के GST के कॉम्प्लायंसेस कम होने के चांसेस उम्मीद रखते हैं। उसी तरह ये 10 लाख का जो मुद्रा लोन है उसे 25 लाख परिस्थिति करने के लिए हम उम्मीद कर रहे हैं।
राम मोहन राव, वाइस प्रेसिडेंट, इंश्योरेंस कॉर्पोरेशन एम्प्लॉयज यूनियन, करीमनगर डिवीजन। As LIC employees, we are asking for separate allocation for ATC limit for LIC premium. And similarly, we are also asking the government to remove service tax on insurance premium, particularly in the pandemic situation.
The News Services Division of All India Radio will bring you special live day-long programs on the Union Budget 2021-22.
News Services Division of All India Radio will bring you special live day-long programs on the Union Budget 2021-22.
In-depth analysis of the budget by eminent experts, special budget bulletins, people's reaction on the budget, and exclusive interviews will be the major highlights.
Tune into FM Gold channel 100.1 MHz of All India Radio and other frequencies from 10:20 AM to 10 PM on Monday, 1st of February.
It will also be available on our website newsonair.com and our YouTube channel News on AIR Official.
Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar has reiterated that the new farm laws do not affect the current MSP system and mandis. He said under the new ecosystem, mandis will be more competitive and cost-effective in terms of services and infrastructure, and both the systems will synergistically coexist for the common interest of farmers. Responding to NCP Chief Sharad Pawar, who criticized the new farm laws, the minister said the new laws facilitate promotion of additional choice channel for farmers with choice to sell their produce to anyone, anywhere, with hassle-free movement in and outside the state to realize competitive and better net price for their produce. He said it appears that the NCP chief was genuinely misinformed of the facts. Mr. Tomar expressed hope that now Mr. Pawar has the right facts, so he will also change his stand and also explain the benefits to farmers. Today is Polio National Immunization Day, also known as Polio Ravivar. The countrywide Pulse Polio program for 2021 began today. The government said that around 89 lakh children were given polio drops under National Polio Immunization Drive across the country. President Ramnath Kovind launched the program on the eve of the Polio National Immunization Day by administering polio drops to children less than 5 years old at Rashtrapati Bhavan yesterday. The Health Ministry said vaccinations were conducted at 7 lakh booths. The booth activity will be followed by house-to-house surveillance over the next 2 to 5 days to identify and vaccinate children under 5 years who missed getting vaccinated at the booths. The ministry said vaccination teams have also been deployed at bus terminals, railway stations, airports and ferry crossings to vaccinate children in transit to ensure no child misses the life-saving dose. All measures have been taken to ensure safety during the times of the pandemic.
The country's COVID-19 recovery rate has reached 96.99%. A total of 13,965 COVID patients recovered during the past 24 hours. The total number of recoveries has gone up to over 1,4,23,125. The Health Ministry said that the actual caseload currently comprises only 1.57% of the total positive cases. Presently, the total number of active cases in the country is at 1,68,784. In the past 24 hours, 13,052 new cases were reported, taking the total number of positive cases in the country to 1,07,46,183. During the same period, 127 deaths were reported, taking the toll to 1,54,274. The government has allowed cinema halls to operate with their full capacity starting from next month. In its new standard operating procedures, SOPs, for cinema halls and theatres, the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting said that the auditorium of the cinemas, theatres and multiplexes have been allowed to operate with 100% of their seating capacity.
Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. National capital Delhi is likely to have fog. The temperature will hover between 7 and 22 degrees Celsius. Mumbai will have a clear sky. The minimum temperature will be around 19, while maximum will be around 34 degrees. Chennai will witness fog or mist in the morning and partly cloudy sky later. The temperature will vary between 22 and 31 degrees Celsius. In Kolkata, there will be fog in the morning and mainly clear sky later. Minimum temperature is likely to be 11 and maximum 23 degrees. Srinagar will have partly cloudy sky. Temperature will hover between -4 and 5 degrees Celsius. Jammu will have a mainly clear sky. The minimum temperature is likely to be 6 and maximum 20. Leh will have mainly clear sky. Minimum temperature of -15 and maximum of around 1 degree. Gilgit will have a temperature between -6 and 12 degrees Celsius. Muzaffarabad will have partly cloudy sky and the temperature will move between 4 to 17 degrees Celsius. And now before we end, the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says India is moving ahead with Swami Vivekananda's vision of empowering the poor. India is not only running the world's biggest COVID vaccine program, but also the fastest in vaccinating its citizens, says the Prime Minister in his Mann Ki Baat program. Prime Minister asserts that government is committed to modernizing agriculture and is taking many steps in this direction. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman to present Union Budget for 2021-22 tomorrow in the Lok Sabha. And around 89 lakh children administered polio drops on Polio National Immunization Day today. And with that, we end the evening news. Good night.